Ladies and gentlemen, SmackDown is broken. At least that's the opinion of us here at the Golden Shovel Wrestling Podcast. Ever since the drop from the 3-hour show to the 2-hour show, SmackDown has been struggling. The storylines haven't been there. And ultimately, if it wasn't for John Cena and his retirement tour and the Sami Zayn Open Challenge, it would be the reason to watch every single week. This week, we're going to fix it. And there's a twist to how we're going to do this. Let's just get right into it. So the story is that TKO and the Infinite Wisdom have put Daz in charge of the Fed.
It's about time.
And his job, after having poached straight off the beach in Mexico, is to hire a brand new SmackDown GM to fix Friday nights. Ross and I are going to pitch 3 ideas each, the usual 3 rounds, 90-second timer, which I need to bring up. And we are going to, Daz is going to pick the winner of each round, and at the end he'll hire the GM. And I've realised I've not put my suit on, which was a whole part of the gag. And my suit's sitting somewhere. Daz, you want to give us a quick, what you're looking for is in this job interview?
Yes, I am hoping that you will bring some fresh ideas to the table, mostly for the mid-division. I'd like to see where that gets really lifted. So if you're interested in trying to play the man and want to make some last-minute changes to your pitches, then feel free. Maybe something to do with the tag division, taking the title off Cody Rhodes. All these things will earn you brownie points. All right. But no, I'm all in. Just please fix my home show because my Friday nights are awful. And there's another one due very soon.
Yes. There are 2 ground rules for the pitch. Ground rule number 1 is we are making the assumption that the network is insisting the show remains 2 hours. So one of the pitches can't be go back to 3 hours because we're all in agreement that SmackDown is working brilliantly at 3 hours. The second requirement is no mass roster changes. If you want to pitch, if we go back 10, 15 years and say Batista versus Randy Orton's happening too often, I'm sending Orton to Raw and I'm bringing Triple H to SmackDown. That's a 1-for-1 main event swap. We can live with that. We're not saying here, giving all the duds at the bottom end of the card over to Raw and we're taking back Rhea Ripley, Io Sky and the Vision and whoever else. It needs to be somewhat reasonable.
However, if you want to take Io Sky, as you can see by the t-shirt, you are very likely to have played the man in that instance.
Aye. I'll go first. Ross, you alright with that?
I'm okay with that.
Guys, I've got a time in front of me. Do you want me to run it or do you want to run it as
you run your timer?
Judge? Right,
I will also be running a timer in the interest of fairness.
That's fair enough. I'm playing the man here, but not deliberately. This is a genuine attempt at something different, but we've already seen it's a known commodity and it has just been announced that on the men's side it's continuing. We have been so disappointed with the SmackDown Women's division, especially since WrestleMania. It needs freshened up, it needs a change, and one of the biggest issues that we think that SmackDown is facing is that they have completely stymied any momentum that Julia, who is one of the best in-ring workers in the women's division on any brand, her momentum has been completely stopped. I think there's a really good opportunity to run the US Open Challenge on the women's side. Julia, just let her have good wrestling matches each week. Build back up this character, hard-hitting Japanese-style wrestler with the dropping people on their head. Have Kiana James be the mouthpiece and really deliver short, sharp, easy promos on a weekly basis and build her up as a manager, as a mouthpiece, as a secondary person in this feud. But the most important thing about this is we have yet to see an open challenge with a heel champion. We've done it with Cena as the face, we've done it with Sami as the face, but I think it's an opportunity to put a twist on it. So it's using an idea that we know works. It's applying it to a division that desperately needs something because it is the worst thing on the weekly shows. But the heel champion gives us a little bit of freshness. US Open, Women's Champion, Challenge, Julia versus the roster.
Strong start. That
was a strong start.
Ross, I will hand it over to you for your rebuttal.
Okay, I do not have a timer, so someone else can time me. So my issue with SmackDown is that I don't think it necessarily has an identity, and I think throughout my 3 picks, that's kind of the narrative that I'm going to spin you. So, sit back and let me kind of spin my web here, is that it's kind of like a sort of Raw light. At one point in time, SmackDown was all about the wrestling, and then they literally just copied the exact same format that Raw has each week with the heel promo, mid-match or mid-card promo, and it just all is the same. So I would kind of like SmackDown, if it's not going to be its like leaning back into the wrestling matches themselves, I wouldn't mind it to change its vibe and that it was just all about just unadulterated chaos. A word that we love to use on this show. I kind of want SmackDown to be that show where it's less about the stories and more about just the utter nonsense that happens. Crazy amounts of run-ins, violent matches, all the things that ultimately, when you were a small kid watching wrestling, kind of made you sit up and take notice. So it's a bit of a harder one to achieve, but ultimately I want a culture shift here. And why not start by just chucking in just matches like that and moments like that where they might not make sense in the moment, but you won't forget the show that you've watched. So that's ultimately what I want.
Okay, 2 interesting points to start. I don't disagree with either. I think the show needs a bit of life, like you say, Ross. And I also think we need to do something with Julia. I'm torn on which way to land here because Sami Zayn's US Open challenge worked really well, coming from a certified hater. It worked really, really well. I think that's because he had the roster to support that challenge. I'm not sure Julia's got that. I'm not sure there's an existing roster on SmackDown that can support that challenge right now because the majority of your top talent are tied up. Like, two of your best performers are women's tag champs. So I agree with the theory and the principle. I think it would add an awful lot to the show. I just don't know if adding it right now would be the best thing for Julia because it will just be Alba Fire. We'll bury Chelsea Green probably, and then we'll go back to Alba Fire. So I'm a little bit cautious on that. Chaos is a very wide-ranging spectrum. It could be absolutely anything, and we do get a great deal of chaos on SmackDown as it is. Normally from the MFT, they normally seem to run some shit, and then we've had the White Six recently, so I think there's maybe a little bit cooking. I'm going to go with Saunders in the Open Challenge first, purely on the basis that I think it would add more to the show, because Ilya's keeping it on as far as we know. Having another championship continually defended on SmackDown, brings it back to that show that's all about the wrestling. So I'm only leaning, because I still don't think it's great. See, if they run it tonight, I'm not going to be happy because it will be one of Alba Fire, Chelsea Green will get buried, or
and that's
see if
not
they
a
run
prediction.
It,
that's
a spoiler. 100% is. And we'll talk about Chelsea Green later in the year, but
there's definitely nuances to it, isn't there? Because the reason that Sami Zayn's Open Challenge was so fun and John Cena's was John Cena saw us interact with Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens' first match, it was an Open Challenge, but Kevin Owens' first match in the main roster was John Cena. Sami Zayn's had one-on-ones with Javon Evans and Ilya Dragunov returns. You're right, and we discussed last week, and it is the clip that's going out on SmackDown tonight is us discussing Sol Ruka. Sadly, that injury probably takes somebody away that would be perfect for that role.
Definitely.
I think the thing is that is as well, what I've said fits into what Ross wants. It's the high level is create a bit of uncertainty and chaos.
Yes.
And one of the ways to do that is have the Open Challenge. So it's probably going to be on the same page the whole way through this.
The underlying reason I picked it is because they have spoken about that NXT call-ups are likely to be sooner rather than later, especially for SmackDown. So I'd like to think there's a couple of females in there. It'll probably be after Survivor Series, I would think. But it is coming. So yes, very close, but 1-0 to Saunders.
I'll offer Ross the opportunity. Do you want to go first in round 2 or do you want to go second?
I'm happy to go first and see if I can win a point back. Okay, so I'm going to continue on from my thread here, and that yes, I want to see some chaos, but I'm actually going to give you something that's a little bit more structured this time. So we've all agreed, can't change the format. SmackDown needs to be 2 hours, which for those of you who are not in the UK and do have to, you have to deal with the adverts, that only works out as about 80 minutes of actual action that's on the screens. So why not try and introduce a format that, yes, has been done before and is done to an extent on NXT, but can keep you within that time limit? Could you imagine a night once a month where there's something like a beat the clock night, where you have 3 or 4 matches on the card that if you can get through either a series of matches or you just have a random one for each title, you win that match, you can get either a chance to be the number 1 contender for a belt. If you're going to be stuck in these confines where you don't have time to work, it's a really, really good way of getting more wrestlers on the card, more action on the card, even if you're sort of stuck in a 6 or 7 minute timer, is the way that I'm kind of thinking. You make it SmackDown exclusive so that ultimately it separates itself from Raw and NXT again, which ultimately I think it would benefit from having something that's distinct enough and is still utterly chaotic, because yes, you're sitting down to watch that, but you have no idea how on earth they're going to squeeze, say, a 6 or 7 minute match in where someone has to win. So that, in my opinion, would make SmackDown just in a league of its own.
Okay. Saunders?
I'm going to start with saying that most TV matches are for about that 6 or 7 minute mark anyway. I'm tempted to bring my number 1 and number 2 because it's in a similar vein, but I wanted to say number 1 because it is the most important thing for me on SmackDown. It's the thing I hate most on a weekly basis. I'd rather have that number 1 and lose than bring it to number 2 and win it. I know that sounds silly. And this isn't playing the man. This is genuinely my gripe. After seeing it last week, we need a double turn, a Cody Drew double turn. And mostly for Cody, it's so stale. I don't dislike the guy. I don't have the same hate for him that you did, as I just think we finished the story nearly 2 fucking years ago and nothing has changed in his character. It's so boring. And I said this in the pod last week and I said it in the John Cena episode as well. I had a conversation with people on TikTok all week. It's like he would be genuinely pushing a 2-year title reign if John Cena wasn't retiring. They would not have taken the title off him. And I've seen nothing in his return that makes me think he's at that level. Like, it would really have... Is his character and story really the tribal chief level of aura and holding it for that long? It's just not there. And I get the merch sales, but fuck me, man. It can't be that good merch sales. Like, it's Cody fucking Rhodes. Like, he's good, but he's not at that level. Come on, there's so many people being held in, and we saw that what happened when Braun speared Seth. It's like, whoa, intrigued. And that's my time.
Yeah, right, okay. This is intriguing, right? Because you know I despise Cody Rhodes. You know I hate him, and you have played the man a little bit, right? And I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. Although
I nearly pitched monthly championship scrambles when I held Rossi's just to see if I could really play the man.
No, don't get me wrong. If any pitch that, it's an automatic win. It really is. I'll be honest. I think the Cody turn is coming. He's certainly behaving more heelishly, but they'll shout at it like they always do. They will bottle it. They will 100% bottle it. I'm intrigued by what Ross is saying because I agree, Saunders. Most of SmackDown's televised matches are between 5 and 8 minutes, with the exception probably the main event, which normally ends in a fucking no contest due to some shenanigans. The show is that predictable. It probably comes out of his thought process, and something I've seen a lot of recently is WWE Speed. I've seen a lot floating about. There's some good talent performing in WWE Speed. Jasper Troy, we've got Axiom. There's some good talent on it. I think it opens a door on SmackDown to bring one of those matches in weekly. Bring a Speed match, and whether it's a title defence for the champions, because it opens the door again to get people like Sol Ruka on your card. It opens the door to get some up and coming talent on the card, and you don't need to give them 10 minutes because it's marketed as a 3-minute match or a 5-minute match. It's a really, really good way just to get people in the door, and nobody can be disappointed it's a squash because that's how it's marketed, and it might leave people looking for more for certain people. I do want the title off Cody Rhodes, so it's really hard not to go Cody Rhodes. I
did want to just say take the off Cody Rhodes and that'll fix off the
it would fix a lot of the problems. The main event scene needs Cody Rhodes. It doesn't need him as champion, but I think it needs him right now just with the amount of injuries and all that stuff we've got. So I'm going to give it to Ross on the basis that timed matches could elevate new superstars into SmackDown. It helps with the fact that it's only 2 hours, and if you can stick an extra 2 wrestling matches on the card that wrestle for a cumulative 10 minutes, I don't think that's a bad idea as long as you market them properly and the personnel selected are correct, and then they are then booked correctly. No one wants to watch Carmelo Hayes get squashed inside 4 minutes off of some fucking mid-card jobber. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm for it. I am for it. I actually think that it could be something that could really elevate SmackDown. So unintentionally, it is 1-1, and we are going to a tiebreaker, which is a bit of chaos.
It's continued on the usual stick that you see where 2 out of 3 falls matches always go on each.
They do always go watching. The heel normally gets the first pin as well. So
exactly
the fact that we want to get to 20 minutes.
Very true. Very true.
You remember when we did one of the really early squashes and we did the topic was things you want to bring back? There is an expansion of what Rossi said, the television title aspect, where it is the 15 minutes and the heel champion can obviously play for a draw. My only concern with what Ross has said is that Triple H would use the fact that the matches he go for a draw just to do not bury him to like Marlon just pick a winner.
Unless Penta's involved, in which case he will be pinned.
But somehow end up my title shot anyway.
Yeah.
After 3 weeks.
Definitely. Right, we're getting into the final round. Saunders, you are going to open with this one.
I've pitched storyline so far, and this one is very much production. This is a production rule that I'm going to introduce for SmackDown. And it's sounding really convoluted, but it should be really straightforward. One of our biggest gripes on all the shows is in Raw, it has the issue of heels promo, mid-show heels promo, tag team main event, and SmackDown's hadn't hit with that recently, and it's 20 minutes in SmackDown before anything can happen, and it's not needed because it's the same people cutting the same promo the Monday either before or after, depending on what way you want to order the shows. We tend to look at it as Friday, Mondays the weekend rather than Monday, Fridays the week. So the rule is, see when the show opens and you get that opening pyro and Michael Cole or Tess or whoever's doing it says, welcome to Friday Night SmackDown live from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, right? The bell for the first match must be rang within 7 minutes of that pyro. So you've got time for a quick backstage or a quick opening promo, entrances. The bell can go and then we can go to commercial break because I understand that the network wants their money. They want their money's worth. There'll be a commercial break there somewhere. But that would be the hard and fast rule. No 20-minute promos, but to make it a hard and fast production rule, 7 minutes from pyro to opening bell. And if that means you've got to have somebody's entrance and they're already in the fucking ring for the opening, they do their entrance to the crowd and dark, pyro goes off, they cut their promo, fine, set up however you want, but you must start a match in 7 minutes of SmackDown starting.
It's a strong case you've made. Because I loathe that opening 25 minutes where we do nothing. Ross?
Okay, well, I'm now going to give you the third part of my thread that I'm pulling on here, is that I then think we have all spoken about the fact that we do need some call-ups, and we've all spoken about the fact that certain talent and then also then thrive in certain environments. So you could use my beat the clock challenge, and you could use that as an opportunity to bring someone up from NXT or AAA or whatever you want to do to take it to the next level. And it'd be a really, really fun
if he pitches Joe Hendry.
He is.
And I think that the man who would be great for that to come in and win would be that man. You've just stole my thunder. You got the name out before I could even get the name out. Would be
I was taking the piss.
Joe
I wasn't being serious.
Henry. You were right. You know me all too well. I think that is a guy that's he exudes fun. The characters are a lot of fun.
I'm going to
If
AEW
you want to bring that
this.
little bit of whimsy, a little bit of chaos, I don't know.
Well,
You
TK
get
for
someone
it.
in, they're like, oh, I don't know who I'm going to face, and then say his name, boom, done. There you go, Joe Henry. He's in there, and everyone's happy, and everyone at home cheered because I said the line.
I really admire that your go-home swing was fucking Joe Hendry. I really admire that. I love it. You've got to go big. Right.
I wish I'd saved the Cody double turn because I think it would have been an absolute shoot in here. But
I think that both points have validity, right? Ross's point, although he focused heavily on Joe Hendry, does have value in the sense that people can thrive, and if we bring new blood in, and SmackDown does need that. It needs fresh faces. I think that the most memorable moments outside of the main event on SmackDown have come from Javon Evans on SmackDown to answer the open challenge, Sol Ruka and Zarya appearing in the tag matches. I actually think that they've been the best moments in recent weeks, probably in the last 2 months. So it adds weight to what you're trying to say, Ross. I don't think Joe Hendry specifically is that guy. I'm not saying don't call him up. He's just not the guy, right? Because once they get past the turn, he will just be a meme, right? He will be like a diet LA Knight is essentially what the guy will be.
Yeah.
And he's not getting pushed as is. So I like the point you've made. Saunders, I cannot believe you missed the open goal, so I'm going to say it. You really should have shot that pitch as when it comes on TV and the pyro goes up, you're halfway through a match that was supposed to have ended before the show went live. I really think we should start SmackDown like that because TK's onto something there. Man, your show cannot overrun if you're halfway through your opener by the time that the pyro goes up. So shout out TK for that master.
You can get away with it though if you've got half of the dirt sheets and the journalists on your side
True.
of the payroll.
That's very, very true.
This
Absolute
was planned. This was good.
masterclass. So I mean, I'm in charge of the show now, so I think I'm going to open with that every week. The show will come on, the pyro will go up, and Julia's pinning somebody for 1, 2, 3, and that'll be it. I do like what you're putting out there though, that we've just been talking on SmackDown for too long, and we just don't have the time on the show to just be rabbiting for 20 minutes, then go to a commercial break, and then watch a DQ finish in the opening match to set up your tag match finish. I don't like it. Having it within 7 minutes is a very peculiar number. I don't understand why you picked 7.
I felt five's not long enough because they have to get the intros and that shit out of the way.
So you're giving them 5 post intro, basically.
Basically, and I'm saying that 10 minutes there will be a commercial break at some point, so they have to start the match and at least get to a point with the commercial. I'm trying. I understand the ref was paying my wages.
Yeah. So
they need to get their
one of you has went the corporate side of things there and how the show should be produced, and one has went give us more fresh talent. And unless we do both, it won't work.
I was just going to say, by the way, the best thing would be 7 minutes in, you've got a 6 minute match. Probably.
Basically, what I'm looking for here is in the first 7 minutes, have a speed match, including 2 call-ups. It's probably the fucking bread and butter.
I know.
Book it.
I mean, I'm in charge, but one of you is going to get to book it, and I'm only going to go right with the winner on the basis that for the other one to work, this one must be in place. So I'm going to edge it to Saunders purely on the basis that the show needs to be produced correctly in order to bring that level of talent out. So what I'm saying is, see if you, in that opening 7 minutes, for example, right, you do your welcome to Oklahoma City, blah, 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 and you've got, I don't know, we'll use him as an example.
Blake Monroe.
We'll use him as an example, right? We'll use yours as an example, Ross. You've got Randy Orton out in the ring already. He's done his entrance into the dark to the crowd. And then we open and Randy Orton standing in the ring, and then Joe Hendry's music appears. The pop is much better than a backstage segment to set that match up. So I think if we're producing the show correctly, I think had your point been at a different one, it would have won. I just think that the production is the biggest thing I would change about SmackDown. So I can't really give it to them because right now it's being produced like hot shit. So I'm going to give it as a 2-1-1 to Saunders, but that was very close and I very much enjoyed it, which means, Ross, that you are going to go and manage NXT because Saunders is now going to be managing SmackDown, although he is the advocate of the red brands. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Is that corporate sabotage from within?
I think the fact is that it's one of the ones where we probably would have all made the same point if it was like a discussion. It's the fact that we're saying one thing, because like I'm saying, I want a match in 7 minutes, but I almost want that match to go in, be hard hitting, and be over by 15, 16 minutes in, because somebody's going to come in and get their stick in. That has to happen. Somebody has to come and cut a promo. And I'm in agreement that I just think, like, early in the show, hot crowd, you say somebody's music's hit pre-show, you get a Blake Monroe or a Jordan Grace that gets the pop, gets to show their bit off, and you're like, boom, we're all introduced to this person now on a main roster level. We've said that all year, especially Friday before PLE. SmackDown's had almost an NXT person on every show, at least up until a couple months ago, and that was like, this is what SmackDown should do. SmackDown should, if it was a 3-hour show, we'd all be sitting here saying one match a week on SmackDown should have an NXT talent in it.
100%.
That would probably all be the agreement, but because we're saying that until whoever it is that has it, CW USA Network gives us an extra hour back,
it's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
Yep. But no, that was an enjoyable squash.
That was, I think that worked out pretty well. That was a topic that last week I was sitting here watching SmackDown and go, this is fucking arse.
Welcome to my world.
What's going to happen now that Ilya is the champion? It has now been announced that the US Open Men's Challenge will continue, which I think is great. The interesting thing is that Ilya Dragunov, at least historically, isn't one for the mic. So
I think that's why it's going to continue. He's just going to get good wrestle.
Good wrestling matches every Friday night. There's guaranteed one banger a match every Friday night of SmackDown, and that makes it worth watching. Right now, as we record this, we're a couple hours away for tonight's SmackDown. This will get tomorrow morning, Saturday morning. Let us know in the comments any suggestions. We're actually about to do a back-to-back recording. We're finally going to record the episode where we discuss our favourite matches of all time, which will be out next week. This will just be 3 guys reminiscing about the high points of our wrestling fandom and trying to narrow it down to a Mount Rushmore of 4 matches. Take it easy, guys. We'll see you midweek for the full pod.